Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's AUDJPY webinar, Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. My name is Duncan Cooper. All right, so that's tonight's webinar. Just to give you a heads up from me through the week. Tomorrow's webinar will be the 100 pip trade entry technique, set a figure position trading approach. That will be at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, and then on Thursday, same time, I'll be doing a live Forex market review. So if you want to join me for those webinars, just head over to the webinar page and register your interest. Before we get into tonight's webinar, if you can all read through the disclaimer. For those on the YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch or join us in the webinar. I've given you the link there. For those in the webinar, you can talk to me in the chat box or the Q&A box. I've got both open. So I'll just give you a moment or two to read through the disclaimer. All right, let's move along. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at AUDJPY Securities. I'm a full-time Forex trader. I've been trading now for almost 20 years in the Forex market, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there on screen, duncan.cooper@acuy.com. If you want to connect with me through the week at our website, acuy.com, go to the Market News tab, or at our YouTube channel at AUDJPY Securities Australia. And if you want to connect with me personally, just head over to my Linktree page and you can connect with me there. Yep, good evening to you. Now, if you want to get access to the chart layouts and templates I'm using in MT4, just contact Nathan.bray. His email's there on screen. But for those in the webinar, I'll put it in the chat. Here we go. All right, so let's get into the news for the week. And just bear with me for one moment. All right, so the news for the week. We've had the cash rate from the Aussie RBA today, no change. Nothing much happened on the Aussie crosses after that. Now, next news event will be tomorrow morning. These times are my time, Queensland time, New South Wales time, 8:45 for New Zealand. We've got unemployment figures. Expecting a rise. Then into Thursday. And Barry's saying you can't see. Let me just see what's going on here. All right, how's that? Hopefully we can see it now. All right. Let's just start from the top. So, of course, we had the cash rate decision from the Aussie RBA, 4.35%, as expected. No change there. News coming up for tomorrow, 8:45 a.m. for New Zealand unemployment change figures, expecting a bit of a rise there. So that could put more downward pressure on the New Zealand crosses, especially the New Zealand dollar. Into Thursday, 12:40 p.m. for Aussie, RBA Governor Bollock speaks. 1 p.m. We have the inflation expectations QQ for New Zealand. 10:30 in the evening, US unemployment claims figures, and then on Friday evening, 10:30 p.m. employment change unemployment rate for Canada. So not too much this week. A couple of items there for New Zealand. Can that further put pressure on the New Zealand dollar to break support? We'll wait and see. All right, so of course we've been having some turmoil in the market. I think really with the Bank of Japan raising interest rates, so the borrowing rate's not really zero anymore, it's more like 0.25%. Those that have been borrowing in the financial markets are pretty much zero interest rates. and they may have large positions positioned in the market. Theoretically, now they're having to pay interest on those positions. So maybe they're getting margin calls, or at least deciding they have to wind back their position somewhat because they don't want to pay interest. And so, potentially that's creating selling pressure. Dollar yen's moving down. We've been seeing the euro dollar move up. So that potentially means that the US dollar has been getting sold. Yen's been getting bought. Maybe people have been moving into euro dollar, getting out the US dollar. And of course, stock markets have been moving down quite aggressively. So don't know whether that's quite come to an end yet, but I think what we need to understand is it is very volatile at the moment. You don't have to be in the market when it's so volatile. We could be coming into some bottom areas on pairs or on indices, but don't want to second guess the market. Or you want a clear setup. So if you're not seeing a clear setup, and if you're seeing a setup and the risk is just too much in the way that you trade, you just have to maybe stand aside and wait until things just kind of calm down a little bit. So got the dollar index here. Now this is a monthly high to low here. Let's go to the monthly chart. We have a higher bottom, lower top, so things are a little bit mixed at the moment. And we did move last week on the weekly chart below an area of support. We may have just broke this low. We've come down to the 79% of this range here. Not entirely sure if we bottomed out down there yet, but it's a 79% level. We are definitely having a reversal from that level at the moment. Yesterday. And we may come up to fill the imbalance that we formed here on the job figures on Friday. So we may recoup all the losses of Friday at some point this week. So if that does occur, so we come back up to fill the imbalance in here, then we're going to see the likes of the euro dollar move back down and fill its imbalance to the downside. Out of the pairs to the US dollar on Friday, really it was the euro dollar that really reacted strongly north. All the others, I think, pretty much finished flat to maybe slightly down. So we have had a bit of a mix of correlation. So I would be anticipating that the dollar index is going to come back up here in the short term to fill this gap. Then does it find maybe long-term support? We'll have to wait and see. S&P 500, this range that I've got here on the day chart, is actually on the monthly chart this low to high. Now, the news is saying that we're getting a massive sell-off, but we're only having like a 79% pullback here on that monthly range. And we've dropped below a couple of areas of weekly support. We can see we bounced at that 79% level. So we're bouncing at a 79% level on the S&P 500. Same on the dollar index. But at the moment, we're bouncing up, and the weekly high over here could be offering resistance. But of course, we're back above this weekly level here. Has the bottom come in? I think it's a bit too early to tell. If we were, I'd just be watching the candles at the moment. If you want to get short, you'd want to be trying to get short at the weekly area at 52.81, which we got a fraction short of, fraction short today, so you may have missed that opportunity. But I would be watching to see maybe if we have a day down. But we can't take this low out and then do, if we have a day up, then after that, then that's probably meaning we're bottoming out here. So I would be potentially looking for some form of bottoming out, at least for a move back to this area, 53.85 approximate area. Because we definitely due a bounce, so we could at least see a rally over the coming days back to this area. If that area holds, then it's another opportunity to get short, or maybe another move down. Whilst these are quite large candles, it's still quite orderly at the moment. It's not just massive days selling. I mean, yesterday was quite a large day, but half the day it was up. Quite a wicky candle there. So I think we're getting some buying pressure coming in there at the bottom of that day. Okay, euro dollar has been the opposite, but I actually got short yesterday at 110.01. I got short. So this is the day chart. I'm just going to go to the weekly chart a moment. I know I've got lots of lines on here, but we've come into this top over here at 109.81 yesterday. There's another top over here at 110.17. There's another old one over here at 110.12. There's more highs here to the left. We traded up into a lot of resistance. There's more day chart highs here to the left on the day chart. So we traded into, once we got above 109.48, and we also got above here 109.81 yesterday. There were more highs to the left over here. So this whole area here is resistance. This can be difficult for a new trader because they see that we're in an uptrend here. We should be just continuing up. But when you trade into all these highs to the left, which have been significant areas where we've been turning down from, we had, that was the size of the move down from that high. We've just come up and folks broke that high, and these highs here, you can see we had that significant move down from that area. So it wouldn't be unforeseen to at least see maybe that kind of a move down, or even if the same selling pressure is lurking at these highs, or that kind of a move down. So we come back down to this area. So whilst this isn't an uptrend on the day chart, we've traded into where the sellers are. So I'm going to be expecting that maybe at least we're going to come back down and fill this imbalance here. So that's why I was getting short yesterday, that imbalance that still exists from Friday's move up. All right, for our chart at the moment, has put in a little lower top area here. So I would class this as down now on the 4 hour. Are we coming in to fill the 4 hour imbalance, which is here? All right, this is what I'm targeting down here. I'm almost up 100 pips, getting close to, well, almost 90. We're not holding above last week's high here now. So, of course, yesterday we broke above last week's high. I would start to watch any retracement now on last week's high at 109.26, maybe to start to act as resistance. 15-minute chart. Coming down to 109.16, which is this old high here. So it's not where I'd like to sell right now because, if you're already short, you're just wanting support areas to break. But if you're not in, you don't really want to sell in support areas in case they want to hold a support. So if you're more bullish euro dollar, this is definitely 109.16 where we're trading at right now. Would be a great area to simply watch for a reversal back up if you're bullish. So if you're bullish, look for a setup, trend line break, or whatever you usually set up here to show you that price is reversing. If you're bullish, if you're bearish, if we hold here, I support at 109.16. I would still watch up here at 109.48. It's last month's high. See how we were sitting on top of it through New York. We've broken below it through London. That would be a clear area to watch for resistance. Now at 109.48. I think over the next 24 hours, a bit of a tricky spot here just to get short. Over the next 24 hours, though, if we get a clear move below 109, watch 109 to 109.16 tomorrow to be the sell area, okay? So right now, there's the option of, if you're still bullish, you still think euro dollar got more legs, then you want to watch 109.16 to maybe hold a support to trade up. If you're on the buy side. I'm more bearish because I just feel we just traded into a whole bunch of resistance at the top. That's where the sellers will be. I think we've maybe traded into, just going back to the day chart. I think we may just swept all this liquidity up here, all the buy stops, I should say, all the buy stops above these highs, because people have been short. That's driven this above those highs, and then there's nobody left to buy. And the institutional traders have been taking the opposite trade. I'm not an institutional trader, but I was taking the opposite side of the trade up here. And I'm going to see if we've had a complete false break now. What I want to also point out on the euro dollar is this very similar to what I pointed out on the Aussie dollar when I shorted at 67.94. I got in at the top. That is December's high. That was the low of the year. Still is at the moment. But there's a 79% level that we got a fraction short of here. So this could actually result in being the high of the year up here to come all the way down, because the Aussie was in an uptrend at the 79% level. It's actually come down and taken out the low of this year at the moment. Over the last 2 months, we've put in the high of the year at the moment and then put in a new low for the year. Whereas this is kind of at the opposite spectrum of what the Aussie's been showing is. But have we put in a significant high there? So I would be watching today. If you're not already short, because you've been focusing on the longer side, if we can't hold 109 today, you want to be looking at 109 tomorrow to be a rally point for resistance, okay? Okay, euro yen. See how today, this is very aggressive to the downside at the moment. Yes, on the monthly scale here, the monthly trend is still up, and it's kind of couldn't get down to the low of 153.19, so the 79% retracement here, but all it's been able to do in terms of a rally today at the early part of the day was false break yesterday's high. All right, kind of missed the boat to get short already, really. For our chart, still plenty of room to come down and retest this low and then break below that low. You're going to need larger stops on these yen pairs at the moment. You could be selling right now, stop above this 4-hour high, but it's going to cost you 250 pips. So if we're still looking for a short, then the high of the day, we've already had a swing here. We came down, rallied, now we're down. So I'd use that high. I'd be monitoring this range as it keeps moving down, keep putting the fib there, lower down, and look to sell some form of rally back to the 62.79% zone, or wherever that sits. All right, these yen pairs are still looking bearish, but it looks like we just false broke yesterday's high. We also came back into last week's low up here. So we false broke yesterday's high, retested twice last week's low. So last week's low up here could get retested again this week, 159.69. So a perfect area would be today if we came back up, 79% fib and last week's low for retest. Pound yen's been flying high. This is actually the monthly range. If you go to your monthly chart, I'm drawing the fib across this range here. So all the way back up to weekly resistance, 79% fib here. 85.88 to 79 level, 86.02 is the weekly level. Of course, this is the daily uptrend. Big wick though up here. It's got a sniff about it that maybe we're topping out up here. I would just be watching at the moment, see all these day chart highs here where we were wicking at this weekly top. Well, lo and behold, wicking in the same area. So I would be watching, if you're not already short, that's the short level A602. I'll be watching to see if we get a retest up there. 85, 88, 8602 on a lower time frame. So the 15-minute chart. Can we come up there? Do you start to see the 15-minute chart turn over? For sure. All right, pound dollar. Pound dollar is really trading between kind of 12800 and 12700 until proven different yet. But overall, I think the bias is much more to the downside. Every time, say 128 down, gets back above, down, come back to it in Asia, down. The day chart here, in terms of trend, is all low, is lower tops and bottoms here. All right. And what is happening is the rallies have been getting capped at this low point, 128.06. Ran through there on Friday's job figures, back up, but closed below. Tagged it yesterday, couldn't quite get there today. So here's support. This is the little consolidation area that got formed before we moved up here. So the question is, do the sellers here win out, or do the buyers here win out? We could stay here all week if it really wants to. So just, what is your long-term picture of the pound? Pound cut interest rates ahead of the US. Will we get more cuts on the pound side than the US side this year? That would probably favor the downside, maybe. So I'm actually short. I actually got short at 29.88 up here. Once I felt like it was failing at this. When I felt like it was failing up here, and tomorrow I'm going to go through the 100 pip trade entry method, or I'll use that. I use that up here at 129.88. Sold at 129.88 with a 100 pip stop. And I'm just hoping that we're going to start to break 127 this week. And this could be the high of the year, because we haven't been able to take out the high of last year. High of last year was up here. So if we can break this low eventually at 26.12, maybe over the next week, we're only 112 pips away. That breaking below there would maybe start to qualify that. It has the potential then for the high of the year. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, so at the moment, it is range bound here on the 4-hour. Right now, as we're coming down to test here, you could be looking to get long if you're bullish the pound. If you're bearish, I wouldn't be selling into here. I would, getting short, you should have been getting short up at 2800 or close to. And then, you could be holding for the break if it's going to break. Or if you're more bullish, because this is last month's low here. Up to last month's high. 79% level here. So this could be just a massive pullback within the range of last month. And this could be the low of the month to move up, depending on your philosophy of where you think the pound's going. There's always two sides of the market. So I got shorts around here. So I've got my fingers crossed for a break to the downside. But I could be wrong. If we start to break back above 2800, I'm going to have to jump out. So at the moment, on a 50-minute chart, you could be, if you're more long, you could be looking for some form of trend line breakdown here to the upside. Difficult to get short at the moment. You wanted to get short up here. So at the moment, if we are moving below 27, you want to see a clear break of 27 today. Then tomorrow you could start to look for, if we can break 27, look to that to be resistance later in the week to trade back down to 126.12 area. Now we could hold here. So you could be looking for your long here. We could trade back up here. We could once more fail there this week and then trade back down. So at the moment, if you just think the range is going to hold, you're buying here, profit here, or you're holding for a possible break. If we hold here, then up here, look for another short back down here. So who's bullish the pound? Anybody? We start seeing the dollar index, if it breaks above the 62% level here, probably going to fill this gap. That's not going to maybe make the pound dollar hold 2,700. So we'll have to wait and see. Pound yen. Let's go to the day chart. It hasn't been able to have a day up today. It's actually tagged. This line here is from the weekly chart. This area here today, it's tagged that today to sell down from. And next major level of weekly support, monthly support, 78.11. Is that monthly support? Yes, it is. Monthly weekly support down at 78.11 at the moment. Could be coming down to test there. Again, you want to try and big ranges. This candle's probably already done more than 200 pips. So up here, it's already done 260 pips. 280 pips down. Doesn't look like it when you're looking at it on a 50-minute chart, but these are very large ranges. Like I was just showing in the euro yen, we've come down, rally back up to there, then come down. Map out the most immediate range. I'd look at the 79% area, offering it the ability to sell high up. Still going to need, if you're selling up here at 186.04, still going to need the best part of probably 70 pips for a stop above the high. If it shows you a rally. Aussie yen, it's going to be similar. Today we have just had a day up, I think just. Just checking. In fact, we're equal highs from yesterday and today. All right. %7% retracement on the monthly chart from low to high at the moment. Difficult to know if that's the bottom at the moment. Weekly trend's quite clearly down, and the daily, over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, not including today, we can't have a day up yet. All right, so the market's just referencing the high of yesterday for our chart. Even this pair's got a downward range. Well, it's not as bad as the other yen pairs. It's only got a downward range of about 160 pips. So you see that bearish 4-hour candle to the 50-minute chart. That's this range here. So look for maybe a rally within that bearish candle, back within that range. 79% level overlaps with 95 here. So that would be a good area to look for a rally. Then you have the option of putting your stop above here or just above here. That's going to need not as big a risk as the other yen pairs. That's for about a 40 pip risk, assuming it rallies. All right, so the Aussie is just starting to turn back to down. At the moment, this is my 50-minute chart. I would look to try to sell runner at 65 if you could get back up there. Seemingly 65 is just starting to maybe break down from that area. Now the day chart, this is the area I was looking last week, saying if you rally back up to 65.75, then that would be a great area to sell down from. we've actually already traded down and put in a fresh low for the year. It came down, looks like a massive rejection candle, which it is, but it came down in like 250 minutes. So I don't know if we've got a true rejection candle, like it's really saying, okay, we're going to have a long-term move back up, because the whole market was collapsing for half an hour and then it recovered all the way back up. But you can see there, all the candles have lots of shadows on the tops here, which to me is just telling me that the sellers are slowly but surely following this market down. And yes, we've had this false move, big false break move down there. But you can see today's candle, if we were going to reverse today, we should have taken out this line here to the upside, and we haven't done that. So now that we're starting to move back below 65, we probably might see this week another test of this level. And which is 63.61. Last year's low is at 62.70. So if we keep being bearish, we might break this year's low and test last year's low. We could also come down to the 22 low, 61.70. We'll have to see. Now getting in, as I was just saying before, see all these lots of 4-hour tops here. So we had a false break to the upside here. We haven't been able to take a top out today. So it wouldn't surprise me to see, got last week's low here. This is maybe the last chance for the buyers, 64.79. Can 64.79 be defended? It's last month's low and last week's low. All right, so if you're more bullish, then that would be the level to watch for maybe support today, 64.79. If that can't hold, we're probably coming down to retest the low here. So I'm just bearish until proven different at the moment. So any rally back to 65 at the moment, you can see how it was resistance through here, through New York, came above, came some kind of support earlier in the day, but it's come back to be a little bit like resistance here now. So I would start to be watching 65 to resistance. Buyers could watch the last month's low, 64.79 area for support maybe, if you're on that, if you're wanting to favor that side of the market. But I actually thought when we started moving up early in the day, we were going to come up and take out last week's high, but we weren't able to. And this 79% level that I've got drawn in here, which we could revisit through the week still, or today, that 79% level would be a good level to sell as well. It's last week's low down to the new low of this week. So last week's high down to the low of this week. Well, failing at the 79% level. Yes, we've been above, but the previous 4-hour candle, you can see there started to want to hold there. So any movement back to there would be a good level to sell at. Put the stop above last week's high. All right. And Azu, hi to you. Tal, you want me to look at dollar Mexican? I think he's asking me. I'll have a look at that at the end. All right, New Zealand yen. It as well. All the monthly charts looking very similar, testing the 79% level of the monthly uptrend range, but all the time frames are down. Moved below the monthly high here at 88.16 to daily. At the moment, we can't get a day up. We just fell just short of yesterday's high, like the other pairs. With the New Zealand data coming out, we might see a bounce. We could, if we get back up to 88.16 and hold, that would be a great area to look for a short to construct something around that level. For our chart, it's already coming down. I'm just, we're looking at the same thing really. Probably draw my fib from the high of the day. down to the current low. And I would just, see if the market will offer you a rally to 62.79% area, wherever that is, once an intraday bottom comes in. Look to sell a rally. Got to be brave, I think, at the moment, trying to book the trend of the yen pairs. All right, so just leave that in there. Can we rally back up to this zone? Maybe back up to 87. See how again, last week's low, which got broken yesterday, start of the week, came back up. So all the yen pairs are pretty much coming back up to last week's low, or very close to, and not able to get above. So any retest of last week's low this week could be an opportunity to sell later in the week on these pairs. New Zealand dollar to the daily. Nasty rejection yesterday on, we had a 2-candle drop, retraced it back up, but you can see all the shadows up here, like the Aussie's doing. The rallies back up have got met by the sellers, and we're probably going to come down for another test of these lows. My weekly double top could start to come to fruition if we can start to break below 58.51. I'm targeting down here at the moment 54.85, assuming we can break these areas of supports. So we're all rejecting up here. Aussie's doing the same. 4-hour charts, trying to break this little area of support here at the moment. Where the go, if you were watching this early in the day, was maybe seeing if we false break this 79% level, which we did. And you could be break even now, waiting to see if this can move down. So it's not in the, it's in the middle of the range that we've got here at the moment. From here to here, we're at the 50. So that's not where I want to execute a trade. I'd want to execute a trade maybe at the 79% level. Stop above the high. Now, price might come back up here over the next day. Got some news items coming out, one tomorrow, one the day after. So certainly in the next 24 hours, if we simply come back up to here, that would be a great area to look for a short, stop above the high. Where it is now, it's in the middle. That's not a great area. So got to pick your battles. So we'll offer you the opportunity to sell a rally if you haven't already, for a run down to maybe break support. Dollar Canadian. Now, from a daily chart perspective, it looks like a massive rejection. But I told you this last week twice to watch 37.91 for support. Now, on the weekly charts, we did yesterday take out this high, couldn't hold it, and couldn't hold that high either. But it's cleared out, obviously, a whole bunch of stops above here. Their chart candle looks particularly horrendous, but it's holding its trend as it came back down to the bottom of the range. Came back down to the bottom of the weekly range. There's last week's low. Drag a fib up to last week's high. If you weren't prepared to buy support here, once price comes back up, you get a low here, a low here. If we put in another low here, we couldn't take out last week's low. Back down a day support. We're getting along here at the 79% level as we come back up. That's limited risk. We could now be coming all the way back up to retest that high. Even though the candle yesterday totally rejected, it wasn't able to break its trend. It didn't break this low area here. So that's just telling me that the buyers are still sitting here waiting to gobble up the sells. Well, waiting to take the opposite side of the sellers and drive it back up. So again, you could be waiting to see if this can come down maybe for a dip today back to 38.20. Don't want to be buying into resistance though, so you'd have to see a dip. 138.20 would be the best area. Stop below the low, targeting the high. That gives you the best risk to reward. Dollar franc. It's at weekly support at the moment, or it's trying to hold below weekly support at the moment. Trend's clearly down, weekly and the daily. Not able to get back above with any conviction on the day charts. So that is at 85.52. So that's the level to watch. This current candle has just retested 85.52 on the high. 15-minute, there you go, it's here. So if it came back up, we're only 11 pips away from there. Another test of that area. Stop above here. Looking for the market to go down. Okay. What's that euro dollar doing? All right, euro dollar is not holding 9. It's not holding 109.16. What's the pound? Pound's testing 27. What's the Aussie doing? Aussie's just hitting last month's low. Dollar yen. So there's last week's low. My red dashed line here on my 50-minute chart. Also 146.47 is a resistance level. So to the daily, that's a weekly low here. So today we couldn't quite take to trade above yesterday's high, fraction short of last week's low, and weekly support here at 146.47. So weekly chart is low here. So I'm guessing we're probably going to come down and test this low maybe if we can't have a day up. So on the 4-hour, there's your 4-hour rejection candle, like I've been showing on the other yen pairs. Go to your 50-minute chart, and if we're still going short, you want to look to the range that we're forming at the moment. That's the last 4-hour candle that was down. See if it can come up to the 62.79% zone of that candle to sell to continue down. So here we come up. I go stop above here to continue down. All right, gold. So this is the daily. It's a higher top, higher bottom. It's come down to the 79% level or slightly below yesterday. Got supports. 4-hour chart. Looks like it's putting a higher bottom in here maybe. So if it trades above this area, you could just be on the 4-hour chart going trade the break of the high, stop below here. Looking for this to come back up to the 24.77 level. That's what price is showing us at the moment. I'd much prefer to be, though, dragging a fib across here. And then let me just drag this out of the way. And looking for this to come down maybe to the 79% level, or back to this 79% level. So one level there, two level here, so that's 23.79 area or 23.75. To then, it's always nice to buy when the price is having a dip in the direction that you want to go in. That hasn't, that's only had about a 38% dip, which isn't that deep. So I don't really like trading price action where it's like just here. I'd much prefer to see it come into the 62.79% area and look to trade here to trade up rather than in this area. But depends what price wants to deliver. Okay, that's my thoughts on gold. Now, Tal, you want me to look at dollar MXN? So is this the dollar to the Mexican peso, is it? Yep. It's got a good spread. Rest of the month, the trend is up. It is in a very strong area of resistance here. Weekly's up. Weekly's really in the profit-taking area of the fib. So I'd anticipate we're having a pullback at the moment within this range. Day trend's still holding up. There's a range here on the day chart. Just got to be, I don't know whether you're going short or long, but if we're on the long side, you don't want to be trading into this resistance area. So you'd want to see, a good area to look for a long would be, if we're thinking of longing, because trends are up, this high, this kind of zone here would be great. Price pull back into that area. You start holding today for a further test of this area. I don't like it where it is. It's right at resistance at the moment. So getting long up there. I don't necessarily know if I'd really want to favor a short up there because the trends are up. I'd need to see. Well, I'd need to see the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart's in uptrend at the moment. If this 4-hour chart started to show a downtrend structure, well, maybe we're trading down from 1939. Is it 1930? Is it 3900? If, well, 1939.89 is the line I've got in. So the 4-hour chart started to maybe, it's already coming up, but if it started to, put a top in here, which would be a lower top to this top, then, you might start to entertain the idea of trading down, but it's not in a great area for the buyers, and I'm not seeing opportunities short. General terms, the trend is up. It's just in a strong area of resistance, but the market needs to, get past. All right, I don't know whether that was helpful, but that's my view on the pair at the moment. I mean, as a general thing, I don't know if you're trading this, but that's got a 300 pip spread. It's a bit savage. Difficult to. What's the daily range on this thing? Normal daily range. Normal daily range is I don't know. Struggling. I don't look at this pair. It's telling me it's. Let me just have a look at another pair. So I can guess in the figures. Oh, that was at 63.48. All right, so that's 191. So normal candles, is that right? 3,718 pips. Am I reading that right? I need to do more working to make sure I'm reading that right. Looks like it's got a large pip range for the day, but the spread's very wide. All right. All right, we'll leave it there on the Mexican peso. All right, I'm just going to wrap things up there. Just wanted to see what the euro is doing. Could still get support here at 109.16. Pound, not yet committing below 127. It is the lowest it's been in, let's squash this in, lowest it's been in 2 trading days. So that was Friday's low, Monday's low. So it is trading below Monday and Friday's low at the moment, but it's a little bit extended into that area. So it might, if it's going to move down, it's probably going to bounce first before it moves down. It's a bit stretched there on the move down. Aussie's at last month's low, last week's low. Right, so it's very volatile at the moment, especially on those yen pairs. Not too much news. I think most of the news for the next 24 hours is on the New Zealand cross. We have tomorrow the employment figures, and the day after that we have inflation figures. They were a bit more dovish from the New Zealand central bank when we had interest rates the other week. So if the figures are quite dovish coming out this week, that could be good for the New Zealand dollar moving down further with that weekly double top. So, you know, if you can get short higher up, might get some nice figures coming through for further downside. We'll have to wait and see. All right, everybody, if you want to join me again this week, head over to the webinar page, links at the top here. Tomorrow I'll be going through the 100 pip trade entry. If you want to join me for that, it'll be 7 p.m. Sydney time tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing you then if you have the time. Thanks, everybody.